Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grimm Show. I am the Dude.
And I am Grimm, and I am very pleased to be discussing today the self-titled album Foo Fighters by Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters? Foo Fighters?
Dude, I was actually just going to ask you that. Is it?
I don't know what the and all that.
It is Foo Fighters, but, you know, in a sentence, you would probably say, oh, dude, who are you going to see?
The Foo Fighters, because it's a proper noun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like Arcade Fire. The Arcade Fire or Arcade Fire? I don't know. So
yeah, sure.
Anyways, moving on. Dude, very interesting album here. This came out 4th of July, 1995, by Mr. Dave Grohl. Now, I have to fully admit here, my friend, that we didn't remind all of our fans out there to
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Awesome. And now that you've done that, we can talk about the album. So we want to get into it. Dude, I got to fully admit, man, that I didn't know a whole lot of the backstory of this album. I was a fan of Nirvana, but once Foo Fighters came in, I'll fully admit, I was a little suspect. I didn't know. What was when you heard Dave Grohl, the drummer from Nirvana, is coming out with an album, and you were what, probably 14 at this time?
13 to 14, yeah.
Because you got this when it came out, right?
Yes, I did. I remember this very well. I remember there was like this commercial on MTV when they used to show music videos, and it was like this Foo Fighters live in London concert. For some reason, I feel like it was Thanksgiving break of like when I was 14 and I was at my grandparents', and I just remember seeing this on MTV and hearing the clips of like I'll Stick Around, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like that album because it's awesome. But then as a kid, you don't really understand all these things. Like I've played guitar my whole life. I've always played guitar. So like in my mind, you were a guitar player or you were this or that. Now, as you get older, you realize that these things can kind of be fluid. And
it don't mean shit.
Yeah, you could play bass on an album or you could do whatever you want. It just depends on what you've learned musically. So I remember thinking as a kid, like, dude, the drummer for Nirvana is like a guitar player now. How does that work? But I heard some of the stuff on MTV and immediately bought the album after hearing that. And it has been one of my favorites. In my opinion, this show is primarily based on opinion, so let's not get too worked up.
Dude, even some of our facts are based on opinion.
Those are called alternative facts, as the previous administration told us. But I would, in my estimation, I would put this up there as like one of those perfect grunge albums. I mean, I've listened to this album since I was 14 years old consistently. Just consistently. In fact, I didn't just buy the vinyl because I knew we were doing the show and I wanted to look cool. I bought this thing like 2 years ago when I was at the record store and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I want the first Foo Fighters album on vinyl. Because it was just, to me, it was like, I'd put it up there with like Super Unknown, In Utero, Vitalogy as like just one of those like perfect grunge albums. I think it just encapsulated that time period extremely well.
So, dude, first of all, let me say I think that's badass. Second of all, I will say I am the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I was a 12, 13-year-old naive, dumbass kid thinking the same thing that you were thinking. Hey, wait, the drummer of Nirvana has his own band and he's the front man and singing and playing guitar. He's the drummer in Nirvana. Like, the drummers, they can't do that. I've since learned that they can, and they can do it very fucking well, as a case in point. But at that
Phil
point
Collins, bro. Phil Collins.
Oh, dude, Phil Collins. I know.
Peter Gabriel.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, give me a fucking break. All right.
Yeah.
I was 13. I knew everything, right?
Up until you were about 20. Same with me. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
Damn, I don't know
There's more out there.
Yeah, there is. I know. Let's do some.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
Son of a biscuit.
But so I kind of had that mentality because what I had known of Dave Grohl is Nirvana, and you see the music videos and Smells Like Teen Spirit and all this stuff. Like that's what I was exposed to MTV or Nirvana, Heart-Shaped Box and All Apologies and all that stuff. And then I think the first thing that sticks out in my mind of Foo Fighters was seeing the music video for Big Me. And it's this just silly kind of, it's this lighthearted song and it's kind of goofy. The video is really goofy.
But the video is funny because it's just a mock on all those old Mentos commercials.
100%.
I mean, that's
100% agree.
Yeah.
But in my mind at that age, I'm like, I don't want to see silly, funny stuff. I want to see I want to see, alternative. I want to see Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Utero. Like that's what I wanted to see from Dave Grohl coming from Nirvana.
So hold on. Could you say that as a teenager, you would have seen this video for the first time and you would have thought to yourself, what the fuck is that shit?
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
And not because, here's the thing, and it's not because I didn't think it was good. I thought it was funny. I got it even at that age. Like I was like, oh, that's cool. But I think seeing, the transformation, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like you go from this intense, alt rock, crazy, whatever, grunge stuff to Big Me, which again, Big Me also, I feel like that song does not fully represent this album.
No,
but that's
not at all.
But that's what stuck in my mind as a young teenager at the time. So that's where I kind of didn't connect to the album the way that you did. And having listened to it since then, I fucking wish I would have pulled my head out my ass and would have done that.
I didn't necessarily connect to it from Big Me. I just saw stuff about it before that and I bought it, and Big Me was just one of those songs on there. I guess if I could put a name to it, it's like this album's about a girl.
Sure. Okay.
If that makes any sense. To me it's like this album's about a girl. But to me it was all the grunge stuff on there. I mean, because you listen to the rest, This Is a Call, I'll Stick Around, Alone, Easy Target, Good Grief, Weenie Beenie, OJ. I mean, dude, just read the rest of the fucking track listing. I mean, it was this amazing grunge album to me, and it never left. And I will say I also bought as a kid The Color and the Shape, and I like The Color and the Shape a lot. And there's a lot of really awesome songs on there. And not to say that the Foo Fighters have not put out really good music throughout the rest of their career. Some of it, as we get older, seems a little more like what I would characterize the Red Hot Chili Peppers is doing nowadays, which seems more like adult contemporary-ish. And I don't mean that as an insult. I guess to me, there's just not as much edge to it. Sure. Maybe that's the way I'll put it. But not bad music by any means. I'm not like criticizing them.
But it's still better than half the shit out there.
Correct. Yeah. But to me, just nothing had the meat of this first album. I mean, this fucker was meaty, dude.
Well, I think a lot
meaty,
of
Beady,
big and bouncy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those, but just like you said, with this album, with the Foo Fighters and the next couple maybe, and with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, is they kind of became a victim almost of their own existence because they put out such good shit, man. That dude, it's hard to repeat that and continue to put stuff out on that level.
True.
And we change as people as well. So we, and they're changing as people.
That's what I was going to mention.
Their musical
as you
interests.
get older.
So it's just hard to connect maybe.
And dude, these guys are a minimum 10, 12, 15 years older than us. I mean, most of these guys are like in their 50s now. So that you also, it's hard to compare that bit of it too, right? You know,
Certainly.
I mean, there's just some things that change over time. But I think that, as you would say, or I guess a lot of people would say with a lot of bands is, you know, maybe when they come out with their first few albums, like they're hungry. I mean, you got to think Dave Grohl, like was asked to join Nirvana as a drummer, and in anything else he's been on as a drummer, you could make a pretty good list of it. He's been awesome as a drummer, but equally, I think really awesome as a front man. And this was just supposed to be a project. He just like, you know, I read one bit of it that said this was kind of a way of him dealing with like his own grief that surrounded Kurt Cobain's suicide, which I think is a pretty awesome way to deal with it. You know, you kind of just like, because if you listen to some of the lyrics, I mean, I think a song like Watershed, for example, to me feels like somebody who's kind of talking about this cycle that they were in with the music industry as Nirvana. If you read those lyrics, I mean, that's what I read. And so I feel like he probably dealt with a lot of things through this channel, you know?
Yeah, he had been asked actually by a few bands if he wanted to come be their Danzig, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers even.
Yeah, I read that.
And
I didn't know Danzig, but that's awesome, dude.
And he said that every time he kind of got behind the drums, he could only think of Nirvana, and that's very understandable. I mean, you're basically at that point when Kurt Cobain committed suicide, they were the biggest band in the world, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, that's pretty wild. One thing that I did not realize is that he recorded this whole album by himself.
Yeah.
There's one track where this Greg Dooley,
yeah, from the Afghan Wigs.
Okay, is that it? Yeah, he plays guitar on Ecstatic. And then Barrett Jones, who helped produce, he did some backing vocals.
Yeah. Now, the Afghan Wigs, dude, that was one of those other ones that we wouldn't have known about at that age because they were underground, but like a really influential band kind of pre and somewhat during grunge. But I mean, like, Leafer kind of hit me to them. I think the album you'd want to listen to by them to start out is 1989, I believe oh my God. Sorry, super fans. I'm a real dickhole. I think it's 1969 with the astronaut on the cover. That's embarrassing, but I corrected it before.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I'm pretty sure it's 1969. I feel like a real Delic, but you know, that's okay.
Well, that was just one thing I just didn't fully realize is that he basically did this album by himself, because when you see the music videos of songs from this album, the other members of the band, like that, you know, Pat Smear and I don't have the names in front of me. The two other guys at the time when he recorded this, who were kind of his touring band, he used them in the music videos. And yeah, you fucked up.
1965. What a dick. I'm sorry. Okay, 1965.
Anyways,
go on.
Moving on.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah, there's a whole band with them, and there was go on.
Yeah, so it just seemed interesting to me. Like, that's just one thing I didn't know. It's like, oh, you see the music video and you see all the other guys in it and they're playing, so you're like, oh, this is his new band. I didn't realize at the time, until I actually even started doing research on this album, that it was basically him, except for a couple of little tracks here and there. I mean, dude,
and most of it was based around demos that he had recorded prior to Kurt Cobain's death. And I don't know if you've ever watched the Sound City documentary, but I'm pretty sure in that documentary, it was either that or the Sonic Highways series that they did for HBO, which I'm not so much into the album, but I really like the series for the idea that the series was which that the Foo Fighters as a band right now, they go around to these different cities that have musical like heavy musical influence. Like they did one in New Orleans and they went to New York
Nashville?
City and yeah, they did go to Nashville. I think they went to Washington D.C. because of what was there with the hardcore punk scene and shit. And in each city, they would go around and they would talk to these people, like bands and people now that were like influential in the scene, and kind of paint a picture of how it was and the bands that came from there, which I thought that was cool about it, because they talked about all this different stuff that came from these areas, and how it was important. And at the end of each episode, they would like write a song and record it there, which that part wasn't as much for me. But I think aside from that, I like the fact that they would like do a song on the spot, and they had like this mobile recording rig, right? And they would just do it there. They just pick an old broken down building or some shit, and they just load the stuff in. And, once they developed this song, they would record it. I did think that was cool, but I love the history aspect of it. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool.
I think it was either in that series or Sound City where he talks to someone about like those original demos that he made that inevitably became the nuts and bolts for the Foo Fighters' first album.
Yeah, because he had a handful of songs before he joined Nirvana. A lot of these songs were kind of conceived and written while he was with Nirvana, and then there was a couple that came after Nirvana was no longer, and that's ultimately what became this album. But dude, I think the story of recording this album is really cool. He basically reserved like a week. I forget what studio it's at, but like a week, and he sat down and just, I think each song he said took about like 45 minutes to complete, and he just took a week, and it was just like, and he would go room to room, and he just, like, they had things set up, and he would just record different parts and go room to room.
40, like each song took 45 minutes to complete?
That's what it said, man.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
To put the parts in.
That's incredible, because, and I've thought about this for years, because I mean, when I found out more the truth behind how he did this album. I mean, this was like, let's see. I remember watching Sound City and Sonic Highways, like when my daughter came home, when Lucy came home from the hospital, and you got like a little baby, and you can't
from being born.
yeah, for sure. You can't sleep. So you got to do something to kind of stay awake and just watch the baby. And I remember I watched both of those, that movie and that series during that time. And so at that point, like I felt like I really got hip to the way that he recorded this album, and then read about it a little more. And that blew me away, because I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, it's one thing that you wrote these songs, but you had these songs developed to a point where you knew the drum parts with no one else playing, and you could go in and just lay that down. And that's where I was like, man, that's incredible, because there's probably stuff that we don't hear, like count offs in the beginning for like the guitar to go with, and then the drums kick in. But all that aside, it is incredible. Like that feat is incredible.
Dude, it's once I read that and kind of how he did it, but was pretty wild, because I was like, yeah, how do you do that, man? You gotta have that down,
dude.
Like
that,
in your
that
head.
Song, you basically press play on your
in
forehead,
your head,
and you can hear the shit. I mean, like, you know it.
Yeah. Well, so he recorded them, and I mean, it just said 45 minutes for each song. I'm sure there's a little give and take on each one, but also they were recorded in the same order that they show up on the album too. It's just kind of like, oh, here we go.
Oh, I didn't know that. Now that's really cool. I did not know that.
I mean, he was there for a week, so I don't know if he did it where he's like, okay, well, we're going to start with this as a call. I'm going to record all the parts, and then and then that's it.
Oh, here it
the next
says 9 of the songs on the album were composed before or during Grohl's tenure with Nirvana and existed demos created by Grohl on his 8-track home recorder. So that's what I remember seeing. Is I don't remember if it was a reel-to-reel or what it was, but he had like some sort of an 8-track recorder, and he like played a demo or something of one of the songs on this album on that recorder, which was cool. And then that eventually became. And I guess too. Oh,
go ahead. No. You go.
Well, I was just gonna say. So then he gets to a point where, okay, the point that any band or any project would get to, right? Yeah. What's the point, Ventura? Well, in this case, it is if you're gonna make money on this, you got to go on the road. Now you got to get other musicians. So he gets 2 of the guys from Sunny Day Real Estate, which. Kudos to you, Joe Brew Fedrosary, because that is the gentleman who introduced me to Sunny Day Real Estate. And I'm still not like a huge Sunny Day Real Estate fan. I can't say that I know their catalog, but Joe Boo introduced me to them, and we'd listen to them back in the day, so I was aware of who they were. So he borrowed a couple of guys who was in Sunny Day Real Estate, and then Pat Smear. Who also sat in on the Nirvana Unplugged, and I think maybe some studio stuff too. I'm not sure.
I think Pat Smear played with them when they went on tour. I think they played.
That's what. Okay, on tour,
like on SNL. He was on SNL.
Yeah,
and shit.
Yeah. And so then they recruited those guys. But one thing I read that I thought was really weird was that the record company insisted that when they released this album on CD in the liner notes, they have like a picture of the band, even though that all this was done by Grohl. They wanted this picture of the band. Now, I don't know that I could find my original CD, but as I'm opening this for you, I can tell you that this is merely just a sleeve of the vinyl, and there is no other picture in here, which I think is kind of cool because, dude, I'm sorry, that was just Dave Grohl. Like, I think the band that he recruited and has since built up is an awesome band. I mean,
yeah.
But that was his.
Yeah, I mean, he even said he wanted to just record an album playing all the instruments, but release it under like a name. He didn't want it to be Dave Grohl. He wanted it to be like, like a band name. And that's cool, man. Like, and it's a whole lot more fun than like, hey, Dave Grohl. Like I get it. Even if it is you, like that kind of sucks. Like, man, you can have so much more fun with like a name of a band.
But I think that what's funny is, taking the name from what, United States fighter pilots used to kind of use as a loose term for like unidentified flying objects in the air. Borrowing the UFOs. Name from that. Yeah.
Dogs.
For the layperson. Yeah. Dags.
Thanks.
So they borrow the name from that, and I did really enjoy reading that quote from Dave Grohl, where he basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, said that, I didn't really have a name for any sort of a band at the time, so this is the name that I used, and if I knew it was going to be a band in this big thing, I would have named it something else because Foo Fighters sucks or something like that, which I'm like, dude, I get it. Like, naming a band is probably the most utterly ridiculous thing you could do because every good name, I can guarantee you, has been taken.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're trying to name your band, and you're like, you come through all this stuff, and finally someone's like, the Beatles. And
or somebody's like, Lisa Loeb in the 9 Stories.
Yeah. That's been taken too. Son of a bitch.
Every time.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Foo Fighters stuck though, and I think it's a cool name.
Yeah, it is. It rolls off the tongue.
It's at least unique.
It rolls off the tongue, man. You get the double Fs.
Yeah, and it's not like Dave Grohl and the
Unique
fucking
New York
Cosmic Chongs or something.
Yeah, that would be fucking horrible. Dave Grohl and the 15th Stories.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not. Well, I read that when he kind of came up with the, he was recording these songs quickly. He also wrote the lyrics really quickly. So a lot of the lyrics were even written just like right before they would even record the vocals or record the song. So it just sounds like he just wanted to do, I think, kind of a fun project and went into the studio, booked the time, was like, hey, I'm just going to record some songs. I mean, it's certainly not overproduced or anything. It's a very, I feel like, straightforward album. I mean, there are effects and stuff he does on his vocals. And he even said with his vocals, he was very insecure about his voice. So he wanted to double. He wanted to double. And he said, I think even a few times he was like quadruple the vocals. And there are a few songs. And I get that too. But after the recording sessions were done, he had it pressed to 100 LPs and 100 cassettes. And he handed them out to basically his friends, but then also like kind of some random fans where he'd see him be like, they'd be like, oh, hey, you're Dave Grohl, you're the drummer in Nirvana. He's like, oh yeah, I'm working on this project. Check this out. Yeah. And he gave Eddie Vedder, I don't know if he gave him a vinyl or a cassette, but he gave it to Eddie Vedder. Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. Eddie Vedder played 2 songs on the radio, on some radio broadcast he was on. So, I mean, maybe they were still doing vinyls for radio broadcasts. I don't know. But I guess he played them on that, and that kind of it picked up a little steam. And so it gained record label interest. And I believe Capitol Records ended up picking him up. So to put out this album. There's another record company that they were kind of, under, I guess, but so. Got some dead time there, Grimm.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking up some lyrics.
Roswell is the other, is like
Roswell Records. Yeah.
I don't know how it works if there's, through Roswell and Capitol Records, if one is parent. And
I didn't read up on all this, so don't shoot me for this here, but I always take this as Roswell Records being some sort of like a personal sort of record label thing. Because, dude, Foo Fighters, UFOs, Roswell, New Mexico, I mean, that all kind of ties the room together, dude.
It does. Right? Nice road.
Ties the room together.
Nice fucking road.
They peed on your fucking road.
They peed.
So, without further ado, I think we kind of get into the tracks because that's kind of the background and recording, so to speak.
Without further ado.
Without further ado.
Yes. Yeah. All right, well, let's start with track number 1. This is
a call.
A call. Interesting way to start the record. If I was a Nirvana fan and I'd never heard anything or know anything except Dave Grohl's putting out an album and I put this on, when it starts off, I might be a little taken back. Just the nice vocals, the way he sings it. It has like this upbeat feel.
But then it comes in.
Away. Oh, it does. No, absolutely it does. Yeah. No, it does. But right away you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that's interesting.
Yeah, sure. I do like how you can hear the guitar plugging in.
Yeah, it does take a few.
Because that's real. That's what happens when you're like making songs.
It's like
I've always enjoyed that.
Was it Radiohead's "Hail to the Thief"? 2 + 2 = 5. And
yes.
Yeah.
Or when they incorporated it into the solo in Flaming Lips, Embryonic. Powerless.
You've got to have power.
Yeah, even though we know that we've already established in a previous episode that that's Neil Young playing the solo where he's like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, but this song, dude, it's like you said, it starts off and it sounds very sweet and kind of pleasant, like the way he's singing it. But then, man, it really hits and kind of comes in, and it's a really good rock song, man. It's got a nice breakdown in the middle.
Yeah, and I don't really know what it's about. To me, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of.
Well, dude, he said again, like he wrote a lot of these lyrics right before he recorded it, so a lot of them are just kind of nonsense. Yeah. But he also said though that he went back and kind of when he after the record and years later and he listened to it and thought about some of the lyrics, and some of them may have had a little more meaning than he thought at the time, and I'm sure we'll get into plenty of those.
I could see that because, like, in some ways, I look at this song and I think about a guy who was in the quote unquote biggest band in the world, and then he's not, and he kind of makes his foray back into the music industry, and he's talking about this is a call to all my past resignations. It's been too long. Yeah, like in a sense, you're kind of reconnecting with the world that you abruptly left.
Yeah, through no choice. I don't know that.
Yeah.
So, well, dude, the line that kind of sort of sticks out to me, and it is such a 90s, I feel like such a 90s reference. Dude, Ritalin is easy. Yeah. Ritalin is good. Like that, isn't that just such like the 90s thing? Like every kid in your high school class was on fucking Ritalin, right? I mean, except for me and you, but
I wasn't either. Yeah.
No, didn't do it.
Once we got to high school, I was, kind of on weed, but
yeah.
We'll see if you catch that one for us. Anyways, I'll stick around is number 2. And to me, this is more of some sort of a relationship sort of business where it's almost like you're going to stay in the relationship at this point just for fucking spite, just to see like how long the whole thing will carry out. Right. That's how I hear this.
Yeah. No, totally, dude. I definitely hear that. This is one of those songs, and we kind of talked about this a little bit offline, where to me it actually sounds a lot like it could be a Nirvana song. And if you just took his vocals out and you put Kurt's in, I could definitely, for me, I could hear this song on Nevermind. To me, it just has that kind of, it has that feel. And I really like, I know he talks about how insecure he was with his vocals, but I feel like he takes some leaps on this album with his vocals too. I mean, I think he tried to maybe mask some things, mask some of his insecurities with kind of doubling them and whatnot. But, he sings pleasant and stuff in parts, and then he can ramp it up a little bit, and he can kind of rip it when he says like I don't owe you anything.
I agree.
He can take it to that next level. He takes it to 11.
Some of that to me like comes throughout the album, where it reminds me in many ways of like I think when we talked about Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf, where it was like this dichotomy of like super heavy music with kind of these light, nice vocals on top that almost they should counteract it, but they don't. They sound really good together.
It's a good contrast for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and this one had I don't know if you watched the music video. I mean, it's a very it's a very basic music video where they're kind of just playing in the a studio with like this sheet behind them, and there's this weird little ball. It almost looks like a virus kind of coming at them and whatnot. But it's a very 90s kind of low budget video, but it's I don't know, it's kind of cool.
And then Big Me was a hit, which is interesting because I feel like Big Me was kind of an outlier to some degree on the album.
I agree with that
because it's so much slower. It's a very nice song, and like I said, to me, it was like this album's about a girl, if that makes any sense. But it just again seems kind of about relationships and growing as a person, I guess, indicated by the title of Big Me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like this more of a lighthearted kind of fun, upbeat song. It's like a real pop song. Most people would probably, I mean, I'm sure most people just know the song in general if you hear it, but the music video was very, very popular.
Oh, because just like the Mentos joke.
what is it? The Futos, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
But dude, it won best music video for best group video. And it's cool. Like so if you guys haven't seen it, definitely Google it, or maybe our boy Forrest can link it below. But it's it's just like a funny video. And I think for me, when I first saw it, I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, this is the dude who was in Nirvana and now he's doing this kind of silly, funny video. Like, and again, naive 13-year-old. Okay. Sorry. Not sorry. But yeah, I've always liked the song. I think it's good. It's different for the album. I don't know if I'd say it, fits with the rest of the album. But I kind of, when I heard this song, I thought, I was like, oh, well, this is what the rest of the album is going to sound like. So I don't know if I want that.
Yeah,
but,
no, it's not.
But it's cool.
So then you go into Alone and Easy Target, and I don't really know what this song is about, other than maybe it's a guy who, was in the quote unquote biggest band in the world, is now trying to do something on his own. So from the standpoint of fans and like critical acclaim, I mean, you're sure as hell an easy target at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, absolutely. I mean, to me, it's a good rock song. Has very kind of simple transitions, but good transitions. It can go from sort of the lighter, chiller parts to a little more, heavier and rock. But again, and I don't want to say that. Well, I guess I will say it is. It does have sort of a Nirvana feel to me when I listen to it, and I know we talked a little bit on offline. I'm curious as to what Dave Grohl's role was in Nirvana as far as just
songwriting process.
Songwriting process. Because in my mind, I always think like, oh, Kurt Cobain was like the leader, the writer. He's the one coming up with all the songs, and then Dave and Chris just put in the the bass and drums or whatever. But I'm sure as a band, I would hope that Kurt brought his creative ideas and they gave input and everything. And I just feel like this one, there's certain aspects of it that really stand out to me from a Nirvana musical perspective, beyond the drums, beyond what Dave would have put in his part. So
yeah, sure.
That's all I got to say about that.
No, I agree. And then one of my personal favorites, Good Grief. I've always liked just the kind of driving nature of this song. And I don't know that I would listen to this and say that it would have or could have been on a Nirvana record in a different life. But I think it could have been on something, and I don't really know what that is, but I maybe something kind of punk or post-punk, but it's something. But that driving, that just driving kind of guitar riff always sucked me into it, and it was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I do feel the Nirvana part of that, especially with just the lyrics, like I hate it. Like, I know. Kurt in his raspy voice, like singing that, right?
Yeah, sure.
I really can. But even there's this, the song starts with this sort of quick little drum intro, and it reminds me a little bit of because Dave Grohl played drums on Nine Inch Nails with Teeth. It reminds me a little bit of Every Day is Exact. I think it's Every Day. Shit. It might not be Every Day is exactly the same. It's what's the song? I gotta think of it. I'll think of it. I pick things up. I am
the Collector.
The Collector. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, dude. Just that. The song about Katamari Damacy.
Yeah. The way this song starts, it just has this real Dave Grohl start to it. Yeah. We should also say that. Fuck, man. Dude, Dave Grohl, maybe a little time out here for a second. He has done some badass stuff. One, a part of Nirvana, like one of the
Foo Fighters,
the best bands in the world. Did Foo Fighters. Drums on Nine Inch Nails with Teeth.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Queens of the Stone
Songs
Age.
for the Deaf.
And another band I know you really, really like that maybe a whole lot of people don't really know about.
Them Crooked Vultures. I mean, only part of a legitimate rock supergroup, which I feel that phrase is used out of context too much. But yeah.
Way too much. Yeah.
Well, I mean, legit stuff.
Yeah.
But then you go to Floaty, dude. And I like Floaty. And Floaty starts with a light acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Now, I don't necessarily hear that guitar throughout the song, partly because the electric comes in heavy. But in my mind's eye, I kind of imagine that I do. And for some reason, what it reminds me of is like the way Weezer kind of combines the acoustic and heavy electric guitars on the Blue album.
I gotcha. All right.
So that always brought me there.
I'll bite.
But lyrically, I mean, there's not anything about it that really strikes me. And if you will it, dude, it is no dream. And I would flip the record to side 2, which is Weenie Beenie.
Weenie Beenie Baby. Well, just Weenie Beenie. But, you know, if you're going to do Beanie, you might as well do the baby. So Weenie Beenie. Yeah, dude. I mean, this song, if you are going to... is this where the flip is on your record?
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Okay.
Weenie Beenie starts side 2, which is one of my favorites. It's just so...
Dude, it really hits like right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. It's so nasty.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like it's such a sort of a 90s... it should be, but it's such a 90s alt rock like song with the guitar. Like, great. I just feel like it's... And not in a bad way, just it's very typical. And I dig that. The vocals themselves are very distorted. I think you could
through a megaphone.
Yeah, I think if people bought the album because they heard Big Me and then they got to this song, that might turn them off a little bit. But yeah, it's...
I actually, as I'm reading what is posted on the internets as the lyrics, I'm really having trouble placing those to what I hear in the song. I'm not going to go into it, but like I guess the album doesn't have really much or anything in the way of liner notes, so I don't have a way of what do they say, proving or disproving my theory as to what the lyrics are, but I don't think they're what I'm finding.
Oh, okay.
In which case you'd go...
He's like, tear it off, but not a lot. Only so much you can take, as if you blame real and stagnant, big shit, no duh. That's what I got.
Yeah. So unless like you bought a deluxe edition of this that came with Dave Grohl's lyric sheet, I'd really like to know where that came from, because I'm just personally not hearing that. But anyways, George.
This is our concern, Grimm.
This is our concern, dude.
Yes.
George.
George.
I like George. I feel like it's kind of sort of a mid-tempo song that's more kind of steeped in classic rock maybe themes as opposed to grunge.
Yeah, I really like how he I just really like how he sings the song. I just think it has a really kind of good melody. I think he doubles the vocals, which he talks about, doing a lot on this album.
It's right within where his range is really comfortable, right? The train that I got onto up and left that town. I mean, that line comes through quite well.
Well, the line I kind of like which is sort of perfect for this whole album. Always waited for my turn. And it's kind of like, dude.
Right.
Well, you wait for it. Now you got it, bro.
Yeah, you got it.
And he made the most of it. He certainly did. Moving on to track 9.
For all the cows. Now, For All the Cows has always been one of my favorite ones because it's kind of like this almost... Now, aside from Floaty, I don't know that you actually hear... what I would say, according to Hoyle, acoustic guitar on the album. But I feel like they play the electric in this song in a way that would mimic more the way one would play an acoustic. It's except for the heavy parts, right? When they're just doing the "I'm called a cow." Yeah. When they're doing that part, it seems sort of more like almost, I don't want to say country, but you know what I mean. Dude, a little more roots-ish.
Sure. I actually when I started, like in the beginning, when the song comes on, to me it has almost like this really chill kind of jazzy lounge feel to it.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It does, and I fucking dig it. I really dig it, dude. Like,
I didn't realize that this was one of the ones that they released as a single from the album, but I think it's awesome that they did, because this has always been one of my favorites, and I think if you could combine songs off the album, off the White Album and off Animals and off the Foo Fighters' first album to make truly George Orwell's Animal Farm put to music, you'd have to do it, because no one did a song about the cows. They talked about the pigs, they talked about the dogs, they talked about the sheep, but no one talked about the fucking cows, dude. They even talked about raccoons.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I like milk. I like steak. You need to bring in the cows.
Yeah, dude.
Yep. Totally, man. Yeah, I agree, my friend. Moving on, track 10, X, Static. And now, this is one of the songs. So Greg Dooley plays additional guitar on this song. So this is like from everything that I've read, the one song that somebody else that besides Dave Grohl played an instrument, because I forget the producer's name, but he did some background vocals. But yeah, Barrett.
I was gonna say Barrett Strong, but I think
Barrett Jones,
because Barrett Strong actually made a song in the 60s called "The Israelites," which is a very good song. But anyways. Yeah, I like that. And it's interesting because, okay, so two of the guys from more of the underground 90s scene, they formed a band together called the Gutter Twins, and that was Greg Dooley and I believe Mark Lanigan.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Mark Lanigan, you may know we talked about on Songs for the Deaf, because he's been pretty associated with Queens of the Stone Age. So I just think it's cool to look at the crossover of like Dave Grohl and Greg Dooley and Mark Lanigan and Josh Homme, and like how that crosses over again and again, right?
That is tight, man. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I think you freaky, and I like you a lot. Track 11, Wattershed.
One of my favorites, dude. I realized that if you bought this album for Big Me, you'd probably listen to Wattershed and be like, holy fuck, I don't know what this is about. But
yeah,
every time I hear this, I just hear like shit that to me is somebody just kind of talking about the disillusionment. Is that a word? Disillusionment?
You can make it
that
one.
Would come with like being in like all of a sudden heavily involved with the record industry, like the music business, not just music. You know, what does he say? Dealing with the shit playing with my bad hand, just another rock band. Take that to the man and call it a check. Trapped within a contract. I mean, like it just. All that kind of screams out like I just wanted to play music. I didn't realize what I was
signing up for, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is, and to me, this is one of those songs that I've said before. I feel like it could be a Nirvana song where you sub in like kind of his lyrics. I could totally hear this song in utero. Like, so again, like I just feel like, I think I almost feel a little guilty that maybe, you know, from a musical perspective, I haven't given Dave Grohl as much credit into the sound of Nirvana and in utero.
Well, yeah, but it depends on what he was allowed to do, and that's why I guess for me,
there's just no insight.
True. I look at those first two Foo Fighters albums because I'm like, man, that was so much heavily him. And I'm like, that is really great music and a couple of the best albums that I feel like came out, within that time period when music didn't suck. Rock music didn't suck. Yeah.
Well, at least there's only a few bands doing it now. So,
yeah. Well, but, and again, it's the thing that's cool now though is that there's evidence all around that there's always still good music being made. You just kind of have to look in different
dig through
areas.
The bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kick over those stones. Oh, I'm exhausted.
But don't get exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Exhausted. Last track on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's number, I don't know. I think
12. Yes.
Yeah.
12. Dude, it's funny because it starts with a very distorted guitar, and there's a lot of distortion and actually almost static, which you would almost think was on ecstatic. But like the other day I was listening to it, I was like, wait a minute, is my download fucked up? Or
no, it's just really gritty.
It's there, man. It's
but
definitely
I like how it's played in sort of a subdued kind of way, but then it gets into that heavy part at the
it does. Dude, his vocals though, they use either the same, I don't know if I'd say same effect or same layers or whatever at a certain part. I think in the I guess the lower part, as in for all the cows, they're pretty much identical in their sound and everything. And I really like the way that they do sound. But and
I think it's a good way to end the album too, because it kind of fades out, but it's got some heaviness too, and it's kind of melancholy in a way. And if you think about the kind of the mindset he was in when he did this, I mean, it does kind of like seem reminiscent of someone who's trying to deal with something. And
yeah, right? Well, and that's how I described it too. Even though it's not like there is some, harder guitar sounds, it does have a slower rock song.
Yes, it is.
And that does give it that sort of, as you just said, that melancholy feel. But even in some of his lyrics, exhausted and lost, if it could be done, will it? And then,
but dude, of course you're exhausted after like what you've gone, like what a fucked up roller coaster ride for the past however many years, right? Like, and for the first time you got a chance to just say like, I'm going to do something for me now. It's just an interesting spot to be in, I think.
Yeah. Well, the one line that actually really stands out to me is when he says, "What if the day had stayed in bed?"
Yeah, I know.
And, we can all speculate, interpret, and do everything, but I have a feeling I kind of know what he's talking about there. And, it's not an awesome thing, but man, what if?
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to the end of the album, the moment you have all been waiting for.
Me too. But, dude, one thing I have to ask you before we get to this is... One thing I fail to do a lot of times, and if you can't name one, I'll take a top three favorite song on the album. Favorite song.
Shit. You're right, dude. I'm always focusing on one to scratch.
I know, but I want to start incorporating what our favorites are because I think it's important.
I know. Damn, it's hard.
I'll take one, I'll take two, I'll take three, but I think we should be able to do it in three.
I mean, dude, what's the, what is it? Where is, dude, I like For All the Crows, man. I really like that song.
For All the Cows.
For All the Cows, not the Crows.
Yeah.
I was, sorry, Crow.
So that's number one?
Sure.
I'm not a criticism, just a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know why I said crows. I was thinking about the crow. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Happens
Theoretically.
Ooh, spoiler.
I think if I'd have to do a top three, and I would say probably Good Grief. No, I think I would say Weenie Beenie, Wattershed.
Dude, fucking Floaty though, man.
Floaty's good. I would say Weenie Beenie, Wattershed, which I really love. And I think my other one would be For All the Cows. I think that's a really good song.
Yeah.
But now, my friend, it's time to scratch. And in this case, I say we get out the laser gun and just like shoot the
Buck
line.
Rogers style.
Yep.
All right. So am I shooting first? Or are you shooting first? Me? You?
I feel like I had to with the last one.
I think the last one was Animals. I think I did. Anyways, doesn't matter. I'll go first, guys.
Okay.
All right. So I am going to go with Ecstatic. And
okay.
And my reason for that, I think it's a good song. It's a rock song. I know this sounds like a little weird. I think the main reason is like this is the only track of the album where somebody besides Dave Grohl plays an instrument on it. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, dude. You know, mark it as 0, right?
Yeah.
So Ecstatic. That's kind of why.
Okay.
Like it doesn't stand out to me like a lot of the other ones do. It doesn't have the certain melody that I really like.
Yeah, sure.
And
it has a bit of consistency about it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Ecstatic. Cool. We're not going to OT zone, huh?
No, and I'm not calling a WTF. ITS on this one
okay,
either.
maybe I will. All right. I have a feeling. But I want to see.
Oh, I'm scratching Big Me, dude.
Fucking. I knew it.
Wow, you're calling it on that one.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Well, you have every right to, but I'm
Explain.
like, dude.
Explain.
I just it's a good song, but like, dude, think about this song in the context of you never heard that song on the album, and it's just a straight fucking rock album all the way through, and there's no Big Me to talk about it. Like, again, great video, good, really good song, great song too. But I just, if I could skip one, and I have many times when I've played it in the digital formats, certainly won't skip shit on vinyl, but
no, just don't do it.
That's like the one drugs. I could. Because if I think about I'll Stick Around, just kind of ended, and then you started out with that heavy riff from Alone, Easy Target. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that because I think I stated earlier when I sort of started getting introduced to Foo Fighters, like this was the song that came out, and I saw the video.
Yeah,
and I was
sure.
like, wait a minute, I don't know, but
yeah,
for me, I couldn't do it because I do love that song. I really do. I just think when you think about it, the context of the album, sure. It is sort of an outlier,
but it's also nice for the breakup, of the texture, and I get that too.
Yep.
But that's the one I would. So
that's the one. So
as Pavement would say, "Sue me, Jack."
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the
and
jury,
Enchanted, the bonus disc.
Yeah, that.
Sorry.
Ooh, Slanted and Enchanted. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let us know your scratch. We've been waiting anxiously. Feel free to comment below. And if you're on your phone, turn it sideways, hit the down arrow, and type away because why not? So,
yeah, we want to know.
We want to know. We want to know.
Hope you like the album as much as we do.
Yes. And they just dropped a new album. Check it out. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
We just released an episode on it on Monday. So if you have not seen that, we recommend you checking that out. We'll let you know our first impressions of it, and then why don't you give us yours? What do you say, Grimm?
I'd say in the meantime, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Yes. Tune in while we tune out. Time to go.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grimm. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021, The Dude and Grimm Show.